Hey guys, so today I want to talk about healing from whatever thought pattern is holding you down and keeping you stuck. So for me, I'm going to share my story and then you can fill in the blank of whatever it is that you're going through. But for me, it was this sense of inadequacy. And if you had asked me that a few days ago, I wouldn't have been able to put my finger on it. But this is how healing happens, and it's super cool. So I started to notice a few things that were being triggered from my outside world, my own thinking that I was getting caught up in from the outside world. So for example, my boyfriend had come home from an acting job and was showing me pictures of, people that he had filmed with. And I noticed this feeling, and it's so visceral when it's within us, and maybe we don't act out on it. And I would never say, it was, no one would probably even know this was going on but me, but this is where the healing happens, is when you can kind of notice whatever you get lost in. So I felt less than. All these thoughts and old thoughts of like, those girls are prettier than me, they have their shit together more than me, they're all on sets and acting full time, and I gave up being an actress and now I'm starting my own business, and all of these thoughts. And I couldn't even tell, like, you can't even pinpoint those thoughts because they just fire off viscerally. So anyway, this nasty feeling came up inside, and I noticed myself he was trying to have a conversation with me, and I noticed myself at the same time trying to listen but feel like sunken in inside, embarrassed, ashamed, protecting myself because like, oh God, I'm not that, I'll never be that, I feel stuck here, this is embarrassing here, and all those thoughts that I'm sure that you can relate to. Inadequacy. So then he starts telling me about his day and how it was awesome. And now, mind you, these moments aren't all the time, but this is just for the story's sake. But he starts telling me about his day, which was awesome. And then my computer died on me, and it's $700 to fix my computer. And then all the stories of like, here I am again. And I just had to, pay for something that was $4,000 that was unexpected. So I was like, well, I got to be a little bit more careful with my money right now. So then the computer thing happens, and then all the thoughts of, here I am again, I'm so embarrassed, I'm not going to have the financial freedom, because even though I do well financially, it was like this whole nother level in my head of like the financial freedom of just like going on trips or doing what I want to do. And I'm not like the rest of the women that have that, and that's sexy, and this isn't sexy. And here I am again, worried about money. All the thoughts, all the stories that I'm sure you can relate to. Now, they all play out in different ways. For me, it was feeling less than, feeling not good enough, feeling inadequate, comparing myself to people who had more, or what my brain perceived as more. Well, let me tell you where the healing happened and the magic happened. I was reading a book, and the coaching that I do stems from this understanding called the 3 principles, which some of you might be familiar with. And it's literally just understanding how the mind works, knowing and understanding the nature of thought, but who you really are beyond thought. And if people told me this years ago, I'd be like, what are you talking about? This makes absolutely no sense. But I saw it firsthand, and I was like, wow, this is where the healing happens. So I'm reading this book, and it was a story about a woman who was caught up in inadequate thinking, and she realized that she was doing it to herself. That the picture of the woman, that the conversation with the boyfriend, that the situation about the laptop, that the having to spend more money than usual, so having a little bit less than usual, are completely neutral outside circumstances. And if you don't have inadequacy thinking or not good enough thinking, that situation happens, and you have your own internal thought experience of that situation. If you have inadequacy thinking, you experience inadequate thinking. And so I'm reading the story about this woman who wakes up to the fact that she was doing the thinking. She was, yes, someone in my life at one point in time when I was a kid made me feel like I wasn't good enough, right? You guys too, I get that. We're in an epidemic in our world. People don't know how to give that to us sometimes. But what a gift, because then we can find it on our own. But what happens is I took that and carried it through my life. I believed their pain to be true about me, and I thought I I wouldn't be able to show up for any situation. I didn't have the trust and faith in myself. So I woke up to the fact that I was caught up in my own inadequate thinking, and that's all I needed to do. It was like a weight had lifted. Because we are something else underneath, because there is an adequate part of me, because there is a good enough part of me, because there is a part of me, and you, that is resilient, capable, intelligent, plugged in, tuned in, wise, all of these things. When that thought paradigm left, because I genuinely, more than an intellectual level, felt it in my bones and was like, this is me caught up in a thought storm of inadequate thinking, and it's being pasted onto my outside world, so it's looking like that, and it's a spiral and a habit, nothing more than that. And there's other thought options in this moment that I don't need to go after, but I just need to realize and open up to. It falls away. So I put the book down, I came out of the bedroom, and I was a different person. I could have cared less about the picture I saw. The laptop situation left my mind, and I'm like, well, I gotta get it fixed. I'll pay for it how I'll pay for it. And my spirit came out, and then the part of me that is adequate, that is good enough, that is bright, was who my boyfriend saw. You know, and he didn't know any of this was going on in my head, but he could feel a shift. And then my version of him was different, because I was different. Then he was like, oh my gosh, you're so beautiful, I love you so much, let's hang out. And before, there was none of that. So it's like we try to go and control all these people on the outside world, but when we shift to spirit, when we shift to the part of ourselves that has everything that we could ever want, people feel that. And then we don't need to try to control them, because we're just in alignment with it. So what happened is that since then, since yesterday, today, all of those, it's crazy, because I didn't even realize what thought cloud I was in and what it was making me feel like I was capable of and not capable of. Today I feel like I'm capable of anything. And ideas that have been right at the surface that I couldn't hear because I was caught up in inadequacy thinking are coming to the surface. Ideas of who I can call to, you know, collaborate with for business ideas. Just new thoughts. And also this feeling of, oh my God, you're Jamie Wozny. You have so much wisdom. Of course you are enough. Of course you are adequate. So I'm sharing this with you too, because if inadequacy is your thing, I get it. It's not real. It's a habit. It's a thought habit, and that's it. It's not telling you information that is true. And I wish I had I'm going to draw this in my class tonight, but I wish I had a diagram I could show you. There's two things happening simultaneously within you at all times. So there's inadequacy thinking and resilience and adequacy and good enough. Thoughts in alignment with love, with well-being, with your peaceful nature. There's anger thinking. Then there's forgiveness in alignment with your spirit. There's rage, and then there's compassion thinking. So they're existing simultaneously. So when you let go of, like a balloon, the one type of thought that you thought was real, the other's already there. You don't need to go find it. You don't need to do a lot of work to cultivate it. I didn't need to walk around and say, I am confident, I am beautiful, I am capable. I am. My nature is confidence when I'm not caught up in inadequate thinking. So she rises to the surface. The girl today that's like, of course I can do this, and bring it on, and yeah, let's create all these groups. That thinking's there all the time. I just can't see it and hear it when I'm attached to the other. So same for you. That's just how the nature of the mind works, is that your true nature's there always. This part of you that's light and free and connected and capable of adapting to any experience in your life. But then there's also the thinking. So a prayer I love, is like, well, what thinking am I caught up in? What's the main thing causing me suffering? And then notice it. And, you can't force insights. I can't force what happened to me on you. There's no tool or technique, but just kind of being in these conversations and listening to these conversations and coaching and then reaching out for support and listening, it does something. It does something to the mind, And it helps you wake up to like, oh my God, I didn't even realize that's what I was in. And when I let go of it, the truth came. And you know, for me, my experience was, and always is, well, what's going on in my outside world that looks like it's being caused from the outside? And then I know exactly where to look. So I'm very primed to go, ooh, I feel nasty. I feel embarrassed of my life. I feel ashamed. I feel like I'm comparing myself. Well, that goes to show me that's not Jamie. That's a whole load of thought habit I'm caught up in that I've identified with as Jamie, that seems like there's no way out of it, that seems like there's 20 years of therapy ahead to get out of that. When you see who you are, when you see, just get a glimpse of that you are capable, resilient, brave, loving, adequate, enough, the other's a joke. It falls away. So I know this is a different type of a paradigm. I know this is a new way of looking at things, looking at what's already okay as opposed to what's broken. Took me a bit to get used to, and if you need support, please reach out to me. I would love to talk with you more about this. And I hope you saw something new in this, okay? Have a beautiful rest of your whatever time of day it is, wherever you are. And I will connect with you here soon. Take care, you guys.